I've been doing this show long enough to know that one of the chief causes of pain and reasons to show grit is that you start a business and you run short of cash. You trust that it's going to be there, it doesn't show up, and you don't know what to do next. It's a huge problem. Mark Boyer shares how he dealt with it next.
This is A Dash of Grit. Recipes for success from courageous leaders who overcome challenges and build great things. Now, podcasting from Spire to leaders in local communities like yours, here is Brian Leflock.
And let's get cooking. I am so excited to do this show with you. I've been waiting for this for a long time. It's kind of something that I've always been passionate about. It's broadcasting. I love broadcasting. I always wanted to be a DJ. And when I met our guest today, I was like, okay, we need to be on the show together. I want to introduce you to Mark Boyer. Mark Boyer is the general manager and founder of Shine FM in the Bell Fountain region and now in Mansfield. We're thrilled to have you on the air. Can't wait to hear more about Shine FM and you. Mark, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Brian. It's
really glad to.
I guess it's kind of good to be back.
Good to be, yeah. The fun story of this, we talk about grit. We talk about hurdles that you have to overcome. So I'll go ahead and share it. The first time we did our show, I butchered your last name for the entire show, and I didn't know it, and you didn't let me know. Neither one, and it didn't work. And so here we are again. We showed the grit, and we're back at it, which is a lesson for everyone to learn.
Yeah.
So great. So Mark, I'm really excited about listening to your show. I think you've got a great program. This show is about grit. It's about the hardships, and you've had plenty when you're trying to run a startup kind of a radio station and get things going. We're going to dig into that. But I'm really interested in hearing first what that grit has brought us. Talk to me about success. Talk to me about how things stand right now and how great things are for Shine FM.
Sure. Well, I guess the success, we'll start there, is, we started back in May of 2012. And so we just celebrated 8 years this year. And when we first signed on here in the Bell Fountain area, we have a signal in Bell Fountain. We have a signal in Kenton. This year has been a year of expansion for us. We were able to purchase a station in the Tiffin area. And so that's station number 3 now. And then you had mentioned Mansfield, and God provided another opportunity there to come to Mansfield, and there's 3 stations there. So now we've doubled in size just in 2020. And for most people, or for a lot of people, unfortunately, 2020 has not been a good year for business, for personal reasons, with the virus and everything. But God has continued to bless our station. And who would have thought that we would have 4 new stations just this year as part of our ministry?
Tell me a little bit about Shine FM. The folks that don't know what Shine FM is, tell me a little bit about the structure and the music that you play and what you're trying to do there.
Sure. Yeah. The way I guess I'd like to introduce that is we're a contemporary Christian music station. So that's predominantly what we play. We do have some teaching and ministry programs, but that's about 5 to 10% of what we do. We're majority a music station. Love being in the community. We do events every year. We have a big event up in the area here in Logan County called Rock the Lake. We average about 6,000 to 7,000 people with that. It's 6 years old now. And so we've had some success with that. Our mission, just real simple, reflect God's love, share his word, and encourage hearts. And another tagline that we like to use is that we're a voice of hope. And especially during this year where there's a lot of uncertainty and fear with the virus, we just wanted to continue to relay that message to our listeners that this is a place of hope, that we can trust the Lord, and hopefully that'll help us overcome any fears that may come our way. We're human, so fear is going to cross our paths, but the important thing is not to live there in fear and to come back to the hope and trust that we have in Jesus Christ.
And I know that that's the message when people listen and bring it into their lives as they're doing so. And so let's talk about that. I mentioned I've got a little bit of experience in broadcasting. Broadcasting is hard. And especially as times change and digital options and all these different things, financing, things of that sort are tough. Mm-hmm. I'm interested now in your sharing some of the grit and some of the hurdles and things that you've overcome to make Shine FM the success that it is now and moving forward, what it's going to be. And can you share some of those stories of trials that you've had to overcome?
Yeah, absolutely. I guess to get a radio station on the air, it takes money. In just a quick background on how this came about. Like in 2007, the FCC opened a window where applicants could file for new signals. And then in 2009, they started awarding those. And what I did is I started calling people that had been awarded these permits to put new signals on. And I found a couple people, one here in Bellefontaine and one in Kenton, that, yeah, hey, we were interested in that, but now we're not. So we'll sell this to you. So I had to come up with, money to get the permits. That was $45,000. Then, probably another $100,000 to get equipment and other expenses that we needed. We had to pay for, think of all the things we had to pay for people to climb towers, to put the antenna up and things like that. And that can be expensive. So the first big hurdle was coming up with enough finances to cover all those startup costs.
What's interesting is that I want to make sure everyone heard that what you didn't just take over a radio station that existed.
No.
You built from the ground up something that didn't exist. That just want to confirm that that's what you did.
Yeah. That's what we did.
Holy moly.
I mean, it's a lot easier when you take over something existing. Earlier we just talked about Tiffin and now Mansfield. Those are existing. That's just as easy as flipping a switch and trading out a few pieces of equipment. But putting something on from scratch, I was in radio previously in Columbus for 4 years, and it trained me for a lot of things, but not this, not doing something new. So I guess there's a learning curve there, and anytime you learn, but you also surround yourself with good people that can specialize in the things that you don't, like an engineer or the tower climbers. And so not just anybody can climb a tower. You have to be certified. And yeah, you go out and hire these people. They're expensive because that's a real risky job, going up and down a tower. But the Lord blessed us and came up with the money that was needed to do those. Because we weren't just climbing. We're putting on one station, we're putting on two. So you just kind of double everything. You got to get people to climb 2 towers. You need 2 sets of equipment. And so, yeah, that was definitely challenge number 1 and hurdle number 1. But we got over that. And then once you're on the air, you need money to operate.
Right. Yeah.
So the story goes is we were about 6 months in, and even though we had gotten on the air, we were about $30,000 behind our bills. And as a believer, that that kind of weighs on you, because you don't want to set a bad witness in your community as being somebody who can't pay their bills. So we did most stations that are like ours do annual fundraisers, or they'll do a fundraiser every 6 months. And we didn't want to do that, but we did want to come on and kind of introduce ourselves and let them know how we are supported. And we call it community supported, which is support from families, businesses, and churches. So 6 months into it, we're behind in our bills. So it's like, okay, we got to get on the air and just tell people about our need. Because early on, I felt like God put a command on this and say, share the vision, share the need, and leave the results to me. So that's what we did. We've always done is just share the vision, share the need, meaning our financial need, and trust God with the results. So we got on 6 months into it, did a fundraiser. And a neat story, we wanted to raise $25,000 in one-time gifts, and then we were also encouraging people to come on board and be monthly partners. Mm-hmm. Well, we were about $7,000-8,000, and this business was listening, and they called up and said, "You know what? We want to give you $10,000." Okay. And so that took it to like $18,000, and and then that just spurred giving. We were like, hey, we got close to 20. It's like, hey, is there 5 more people that could give $1,000 each? And 5 people called, over the rest of that day. And we got to our 25. So we got caught up on our bills. We started to build momentum with monthly support. And it's about 15 months in, I tell everybody we were self-supporting. So that was exciting.
Is it wrong for me to suggest that same thought process, that same idea of just trusting God to bring and to take care of the results? There's a lot of folks out there that run for-profit businesses that are struggling with finances and employment, and some that are wondering how they're going to make payroll. Is that good advice for them too? It seems so hard to trust everything in that, but what would you say to someone who's doubting that right now?
Wow. I feel like the way God's programmed me is to do ministry first, and that He will supply, He will champion that. Because I think with God, when the Bible talks about giving and tithing, that God asks us to always go first. I guess whether it's in giving or just taking a step of faith, that, I guess the example that Dave Ramsey, the financial guy that most people know about, what he, one thing that he always says is it easier to pay your bills and then tithe, or to tithe and then pay your bills? And I think that's the concept here, is that, God wants us to go first, to take that step of faith that we're going to trust him. And then he comes, it's like we do our part, and then he comes along and does his part in providing. And, whether there's a pandemic, or if we're trusting God and being faithful with what he's asking us to be faithful in, and being obedient, that no matter what's going on around us in the world, that God's going to provide in some way. And I can, I'm a testimony to that from day one, he's done that for us here at the station. But, as a for-profit business, to answer your question, I think tithing is not just for the family in a personal and done in a personal way. I believe a business can do that too, and give back to God. And I think when you do those things, when, if that's what God's asking you to do that, because as the saying goes, you can't outgive God, and he will continue to supply your needs, because the other part of that is, he doesn't necessarily increase our income to increase our standard of living. It's to increase our standard of giving. And so, when we are faithful, that he just supplies more so we can give more.
Were there some times in building the station and getting it on and employing the staff and those kinds of things where you were waiting but didn't see it coming, and maybe went to bed one night or not, wondering whether you could keep doing this? Did you ever doubt at all that you were on the right path?
Absolutely. During that first year, when it was, touch and go, and, is enough money there for payroll or just to pay our bills, like, did I make the right decision to do this? Did I force this? I mean, I guess you always question yourself, like, did I force this, or did I let this come to me? Did God open the door, or did I push it open, or did I force this? And so I did doubt myself over the times, but God just continued, I guess, to affirm that, hey, this is my plan. I didn't say it was going to be easy. This is my plan. And I guess in some ways he tests us. He tested me to make sure I would just stay obedient and on the right path. And we never got to the point where I felt like we were going to have to close the doors. Okay. But I know people in the community were watching. I've heard that, since then, that, some people are like, we want to wait and see whether to wait to start supporting you, to want to make sure you make it. We don't want to sow into something that's just our money's going to go down a hole and go to waste. And so, 8 years later, I can say, God has been faithful, and we're here to stay.
And so now you've been doing it for 8 years, and somewhere along the line, you crossed some other hurdles. So the tower's up, and you're not climbing them up, and your radio station's playing music. What's the next hurdles that you have to cross to keep this thing rolling?
I will say, over those 8 years, as we talked earlier, is hiring people, because it was just me. I have a staff of 6 now, and we've had a few people come and go early on. And just one thing I learned is that, I have a board of directors, and I hired a few people early on that I just hired them. I didn't have them talk to anyone else or have my board interview them. And I just interviewed them. And I learned that you got to involve other people in the process just to get another set of eyes and ears on. And women are real good at intuition and seeing things that guys don't.
That's what my wife tells me.
Yeah, and it's absolutely true. So after a couple mistakes I made where people didn't work out, one, I included a board member in the process, but I've also included a couple staff members as well, because as our staff grew, like, if I'm going to hire somebody, they got to work with these people, and if there's not good camaraderie there, you don't want people butting heads. You want people that want to work together and like each other, and there's a good cohesiveness there. And so I would say after that first couple, maybe in the 2 to 3 years, our team has grown and for the most part stuck together, and had just real good unity. It's like we like each other. We can go to lunch together. We can hang out together. Not that we do that a lot, but when we do get together, people have fun and they talk, and how's your family and those sort of things.
Oh, sure. It's like a family. What's the consequence of a bad hire? It sounds like you had some issues with that. What can happen that can kind of throw things off the rail?
Well, one situation there, there was some, I guess, a sin or a moral situation that we had to deal with, being a faith-based organization. And it's no fun to, confrontation isn't the best,
Right.
And
it's okay.
Okay, I'll just.
Yeah, we don't mind.
It's phone ring. I'm trying to think how to mute it here.
It's just somebody that wants to donate another 10 grand. They can wait.
Yeah. It's funny. I know the person, but okay, we'll get back. We'll return their call another time. Sorry about that.
It's okay.
Yeah. So just learned. It's not that they were bad people. It's just sometimes people just don't fit in your organization.
Yeah.
And that was part of it. That, hey, we're heading this way, but you're going this way, and it's just not a good fit. I mean, I guess everybody you hire, you hope it's a good fit. I mean, you can only ask so many questions and get so many details and references and that sort of thing. And just sometimes people just don't work out. And that's the lesson I learned. But involving more people in the process, I think you can hopefully try to eliminate bad hires.
Yeah, Matt. And I know that it's so expensive to get the wrong person, not just in time and in training and expenses that you go through, but just the damage that can be done is in the culture of your organization. And I'm glad you were able to get through that. And so let's talk about expansion. I'm excited to hear why in the world you would want to continue to expand and maybe even some hurdles that you've had to cross to make that work.
Sure. I will honestly say that when I started Shine FM, I was happy with the 2 stations here in Bell Fountain and Kenton. I was not looking to expand, but I think hindsight, I can look back and say, when we set up our website to be shinefmohio.com, my reasoning for that was to set ourselves apart from the other Shine FMs that were, not that there's a lot of them, but there's some other ones in the Christian radio format.
Okay.
Like there's one in Indiana and Illinois, and there's also
they're
one
not
over
part of your franchise. You're on your own. Yep.
Right. So, but now that I see, it's like God was preparing me for expansion. Right now, I truly have a heart for Ohio and taking Shine FM into areas where there isn't anything like Shine FM. Mm-hmm. And I really love the smaller communities. What I've learned here is that people really embrace that. And there's a lot of, I don't know, I guess stronger, that sense of family within a smaller community. I know you could probably obviously have pockets of that in the bigger cities, but what I've found with being in the smaller community, really enjoy that. So when the opportunity, like with Tiffin, normally I wait for opportunities to come my way. I said the Tiffin one was an exception. I saw that on a website or an email that I get from what they call a broker that shows what radio stations for sale. And it came up of FM signal in a college town. And so it piqued my interest. And, once I found out it was in Tiffin, which is where I went to college, that piqued my interest even more. So that's why we went ahead with that. But I will say with the Mansfield opportunity that we're just getting ready to begin is that came to me. I wasn't looking for that. I got a call. And so I wasn't interested at first, but I decided, hey, let's walk this out and see where the Lord takes it. And the more we walked it out, the more excited we got. And I believe the bigger the door opened and said, yeah, I want you to do this. And so here we are getting ready here on Monday the 2nd to start Shine FM in Mansfield.
It's so exciting.
And North Central Ohio. Something I learned, I thought it was called Mid Ohio, but I guess not. It's called North Central Ohio. So
depends on who you talk to. Yeah.
Right. Well, we'll go with that.
Yeah. No, North, you can't go wrong either way. So what hurdles do you see moving forward? Maybe even just about Mansfield and the new location, or overall for Shine FM. What's the next reason you're going to have to really dig deep and display some grit as you grow?
Sure. I think we're coming in with a new format. I mean, it's not totally, 100% change. Like we're going from, I guess, rock and roll to soft AC or to a talk station. Like right now, the format for WVMC, who that's the station where we purchased. Right now, they have a praise and worship format, which a lot of the songs they play, we play, but we'll be going more contemporary. So some of the artists that aren't in a praise format will be in our format. And so that could be a challenge. We believe that will help pick up more listeners, but I guess it's, that's not a certainty, but we're confident in what God's show, the mission that he's given us, that what we've been able to accomplish here in Bellefontaine, that we will be able to accomplish over there. So it's, there is a base of listeners, there's a base of support, but we want to grow that and make it as big as it can be and do a great work for the kingdom. There'll be challenges I'm not from this area, so starting from scratch and in a sense that building relationships and, with business owners, with pastors at churches, with people in the community. So I mean, that can be a challenge, but it's also exciting. I just like meeting people. I'm not a salesman at heart. Like I couldn't sell copiers, but I can sell radio or really talk about what we do because I believe in it and I've seen how it can be effective and how it can be a great asset to the community. And so that's what we want to bring to Mid-Ohio.
I've got good news for you, Mark, because my definition of sales, and I've been in sales for 30 years, my definition of sales is it's a transfer of enthusiasm. That's all you need to do. It's really all there is to it, is that you have something that you're thrilled about and you want someone else to experience it in the same way that you do. And there's a bit of a trade of some financial resources or whatever it might be. But it's a transfer of your excitement to them to own it, your excitement to have it to them to own it. And you're going to do just fine with that because I know your passion.
Well, thank you.
Mark, this time went so fast. I am so thrilled with broadcasters, and I love the passion that we have and that you exude. And I know you're going to do great. I've been a longtime listener of WVMC here in town, and so I'm excited to hear what you bring to the airwaves. And I just thank you so much for sharing your story. I know it won't be easy moving forward, and you're going to have to show some grit. But I appreciate the story so far, and wish you well as you move forward.
Well, thanks. Yeah, we look forward to building on the foundation that's there and doing great things and partnering in the community to see, just to fit in and be part of what God's already doing in Mid-Ohio.
I've always told local businesses in the Mansfield and Ashland area, and I think in Tiffin and Bellefontaine should hear the same thing as well, that the listenership that listens to your station or stations like yours is very devoted, and they will respond, and it's a good investment to make. And so if someone were a business owner or someone wants to know more about you or perhaps more about these station opportunities, how would they reach out to you?
Well, yeah, it's a couple ways. They can... If they go to shinefmohio.com, there's contact information there. I can also just speak phone numbers and emails. Phone number here at the station, my direct line to my desk is 937-651-6239. And then email is just mark.boyer, that's Boyer, at shinefmohio.com. So yeah, we'd love to hear from you and share with you how you can partner with us at either one of our stations. So
fantastic.
Exciting.
Really do appreciate your being on the show. I want to do a quick plug for Spire before we go. We are a marketing company that will help your business or businesses like yours grow. We try not to sugarcoat things. So if you've ever worked with agencies that do tell you things are always great, we promise you that they're not, and it is hard, and it requires a lot of grit and marketing expertise. So if you're looking for a partner to help you grow, reach out. You can go to spiread.com, click the contact sales button, and I will answer, and we'll go from there. That's our show. I'm Brian Lefalak, Director of Sales with Spire Advertising. This has been Dash of Grit. Thank you, Mark Boyer, founder and general manager of the Shine FM radio stations in Bellefontaine, Tiffin, and now in Mansfield and Ashland area. Thank you, Mark, for being on the show.
Thanks, Brian.
This is a Dash of Grit. Recipes for success from courageous leaders who overcome challenges and build great things.